Welcome back. Let's talk about something I know firsthand, covering a president as part of the White House press pool. The pool, if you don't know this, dates back to the presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It solves a very simple physics problem that, if not solved, creates a very real information problem. The physics problem is this: how can reporters cover the president in small spaces and on a round-the-clock basis? You can't have 50 or 100 accredited White House reporters do this, hence the pool, composed of a small number of wire service, radio, magazine, newspaper, and later TV correspondents. I have done this work many times. As a TV pool correspondent, I was the eyes and ears of every broadcast and cable outlet that covered the White House. I did this work at the White House, across our country, in Moscow, Hanoi, Baghdad, Beijing, many other places. The pool assignments are done on a rotating basis, which until this week was handled by the White House Correspondents Association. Now, the Trump White House will assign 1 or 2 slots in the pool.
For decades, a group of D.C.-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore.
So far, these slots have gone to so-called new media representatives with obvious or implied pro-Trump orientations. And the questions put to the president by these representatives have so far lived up to these orientations. The White House Correspondents Association criticized this move, saying it, quote, tears at the independence of a free press in the United States, unquote. So what does all this mean? For perspective, Marie Aberger joins us now. She was a communications aide for the Obama administration and served at what we know in the White House press as a press wrangler, meaning she dealt on an hour-to-hour, day-to-day basis with the White House press pool. Marie, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. What was your experience as a press wrangler, and what do you conclude, if anything, about this Trump White House move?
It's great to see you, especially like you mentioned, as you're a former member of our press pool. So I was a press wrangler, which is a strange title, but the best job at the White House. And my job was to work closely with the White House Correspondents Association to implement their rotation of press who were going to be in our pool. So like you mentioned, there is a space issue. If I had to bring press with me in every motorcade, Air Force One, everywhere from ice cream with the girls to a G8 summit, there was only a limited number of people who could come. I worked closely with the White House Correspondents Association, got a list of reporters, worked with those reporters to get them everything they need, and we went everywhere with the president, and they took that information and got it out to the world. At the time I was the wrangler, press pool reports went to over 7,000 people. So this is the way the press can make sure everyone can cover, have eyes and ears on the president, even if they're not there live with us in person.
And there is a considerable cost involved for the news organizations that participate on a regular basis in the pool.
Huge cost. It's a big investment. Think about this. You're being part of a motorcade. You're taking Air Force One to foreign countries. There's a big cost. And so these news organizations were making it possible for everyone who wanted to cover the president to still be able to do it, even if they couldn't pay the sometimes tens of thousands of dollars it costs to cover the president abroad.
Was it ever tempting within the Obama White House to wish you could exert more control over who was in the pool?
Of course. I mean, as a person who was managing the press for the president, sometimes we'd be in the room and press would keep yelling questions and I would say, thank you, press, please leave the room. And of course, would I have loved it to go easier sometimes? Yes. But you know what? I keep thinking about this time abroad where we were with President Obama and a foreign president, and I could not get the press to leave the room. And this foreign president looked at me and he goes, why are you letting them do that? I wouldn't let them do that. And I think that kind of changed my whole perspective of, being annoyed that we weren't leaving the room and instead being like, this is us being leaders abroad. This is us showing, we believe in freedom of press. So of course, were some people nicer to me than others? Yes. Were some days harder than others? Yes. But at the end of the day, I wasn't picking and choosing people personally to settle a score. Our press office couldn't say, hey, we really didn't like that story you did yesterday. You're off the plane tomorrow. And that just matters so much.
And do you think it will become, over time, a burden for the Trump White House to handle this day-to-day task of deciding who's in and who's out of the pool?
I honestly don't think it's a burden. I think they're going to just go and make this a state-run press. They're going to dismantle the free press. And I think it's a lot easier for a president to only have to answer the questions you want to answer when you want to answer from people you've hand-selected to be friendly and tell the stories you want them to tell. It's a lot harder to be accountable to a free press. I mean, there's a reason one of the first things tyrants and dictators do is establish a state-run press. I think it's a lot easier to just, not have anyone hold you accountable. I think it's on all of the people who've worked with the press and all of the press to make it a burden by lifting this up, talking about why it's a problem constantly so it becomes a burden, because otherwise there's no reason for Trump to want to take hard questions.
And very quickly, Marie, when the White House says we're just adding one or two of the new media, everyone else in the pool stays, so it's not that big a change, you would say what?
I would say when the press office is dictating the press who get to cover the president, we are no longer believing in a free press. I think this is the beginning of a pattern. It started with suing TV networks. Then it was the AP. Now it's the press pool. I think we are working on a journey towards there not being any press in the room who are going to ask hard questions. And I don't think this can be about any specific outlet, any specific reporter, any specific wrangler. This is about the American people and whether reporters are able to get the American people information about what the president is doing so we can hold them accountable to help us and not hurt us.
Marie Aberger, I remember time with you in the Obama White House well. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.